Howdy, y'all. We're back with this epic titties.
We're here for the epic titties.
Epic titties.
Epic titties are us.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, at least for the past month, right?
Yes.
Yay! I do. This is definitely one of my favorite Stoic texts. Just for the record, it covers a wide variety of different life things, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, do you remember where we left off?
You know where we left off at number 25, the one that you're going to read.
Oh, the one that I'm gonna read.
Mm-hmm.
What am I, like the Reading Rainbow or whatever?
I'm too busy drinking a delicious sweet red wine.
Yeah, that we had trouble opening, right? Because we don't have a wine opener. Which
I believe that's called a corkscrew with people who do that more often.
Oh, is it? Well, I just use like an egg beater. Anyway.
Yes.
So, we're on section 25. Is anyone preferred before you at an entertainment or in a compliment or in being admitted to a consultation? If these things are good, you ought to be glad that he has gotten them. And if they are evil, don't be grieved that you have not gotten them. And remember that you cannot, without using the same means which others do, to acquire things not in our control, except to be thought worthy of an equal share of them. For how can he who does not frequent the door of any great man, does he not attend him, does not praise him, have an equal share with them who does? You are unjust then, and insatiable, if you are unwilling to pay the price for which these things are sold, and would have them for nothing. For how much is lettuce sold? 50 cents, for instance. If another, then paying 50 cents, takes the lettuce, and you, not paying it, go with them, don't imagine that he has gained any advantage over you. For as he has the lettuce, so you have the 50 cents which you did not give. So, in the present case, you have not been invited to such a person's entertainment, because you have not paid him the price for which a supper is sold. Lettuce for supper. Ugh. Anyway.
I don't think it would have been just lettuce, but you forgot to introduce me. I'm offended.
Oh, hey y'all, this is Maddie. Y'all know him.
From the Objectively Subjective channel, my new channel.
Yay! Subscribe! And
subscribe.
I do have the link in the description.
But yeah, but yeah, they wouldn't be just eating lettuce for supper, I would think.
They just wear it on their heads.
Yeah.
Because Rome.
Exactly. Oh, and yeah, I'm not modded on your channel.
Poor thing. You'll have to work for it.
That's really kind of rude.
It's rude.
I'm just saying it's very rude.
Well, I'm busy right now reading this paragraph. So
Oh, so you can't mod me?
Nope.
That I am highly offended by your lack of modding skills.
Well, you know what they say, you're offended because you got offended.
Mrs. Snarky has now been canceled.
Deplatformed.
But no, this is kind of okay. So if there's someone that has more than you, that is more popular than you, that is better looking than you, or whatever, it's saying don't worry about that. Like, you have your own skills, you have your own stuff. Even if someone has, like, if someone gets to the grocery store, and that's really what it's talking about, somebody gets to the grocery store before you and buys the last head of lettuce, and you see them in front of you at the grocery store, and you're like, you son of a bitch, I wanted that lettuce. Well, you didn't pay for the lettuce, so you have a little bit left over, and you probably get something else.
Yeah, so all the people that go out shopping for Black Friday should probably, like, read this paragraph.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's not worth going to jail over a TV, just saying.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I like, we can't judge that.
I can. I just did.
You did.
I
very much did.
I went there, y'all.
You just went out of your way to
I'm a totes edge lord.
That's right.
Anyway, continuing on, it is sold for praise, it is sold for attendance. Give him then the value, if it is for your advantage. But if you would, at the same time, not pay the one and yet receive the other, you are insatiable and a blockhead. Oh my god! It's an ad hom. I'm triggered. No, not really. Have you nothing then instead of the supper? Yes, indeed, you have. The not praising him, whom you don't like to praise, the not bearing with his behavior at coming in. So yeah, I mean,
yeah. So I'll point out that I do somewhat disagree with this, because the last little part there sounds like what they're saying is kind of the same lines as, if you didn't pay for your insurance, then why should you expect to get it?
yeah, it kind of does.
So I think as we've progressed, we've kind of gotten to a point where people shouldn't starve.
Yeah.
And so I understand the premise that you should be happy with what you have and not with what you don't, but I disagree with the final portion of that.
Well, I think, like, to put it in context, this was a time when there wasn't the plenty that we now have. So you kind of had to deal with it at this time, because there wasn't enough for everyone, you know? So, yeah, different time, right?
I'm with you. Different strokes for different folks.
When in Rome, huh?
Yes.
You want to read the next one?
No.
You're reading the next one.
The will of nature may be learned from those things in which we don't distinguish from each other. For example, when our neighbor's boy breaks a cup or the like, we are presently ready to say, these things will happen. Be assured then that when your own cup likewise is broken, you ought to be affected just as when another's cup is broken. Apply this in the like manner to greater things. Is the child or wife of another dead? There is no one who would not say this is a human accident. But if anyone's own child happens to die, it is presently, alas, how wretched am I? But it should be remembered how we are affected in hearing the same thing concerning others.
Oh my God, that's such a good point.
Such
a good point.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that gets people when it comes to Stoicism. People will hear that and they'll think, well, then you're just saying you should be heartless. No, it's just saying keep things in mind. Like if your neighbor broke a cup, or if your neighbor's kid broke a cup, and you saw them run in and scream and get angry and just lambaste the kid, you would be like, that's not cool.
Right.
So remember that when it happens to you as well. It's not necessarily don't mourn, but keep in mind that there's been times, like most of us have known someone who's mourned far beyond reason.
Right.
Like you meet them 2 years down the road and it's still like it happened the day before. They haven't progressed any. They haven't gone through any of the other stages of grief. And it's saying, keep that in mind, because if you saw that, you would be like, they should really try to move on. So you should try to move on.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, I've done that with grief before. I've stayed in it too long and it festered and stuff like that. But I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? I mean,
yes.
I know that cliches are frowned upon, but
yes,
it's kind of like, well, place yourself in that person's position, you know?
Exactly.
And vice versa, you know? So if you're too quick to judge another person for how they deal with things, then maybe you should put that judgment on yourself.
I feel like dancing.
No, dance.
I don't know why. I'm just gonna dance, yeah.
Because you're cute. I'll read the next section.
Yeah, this is really fair.
As a mark is not set up for the sake of missing the aim, so neither does the nature of evil exist in the world.
Oh boy, this is another really contentious point. So when a person takes aim with an arrow, and they pull it back and they aim the arrow. They're aiming for the middle. They're aiming for the bullseye or for the animal that they're trying to hunt. What this is saying is when people commit evil acts, they aren't looking to commit an evil act. They're looking to commit something that they see as a positive in their eyes.
Right. They're not. They don't have you in mind when they're taking that action. Usually.
Yeah. So if like we know that the minds of, say, serial killers or just psychopaths, sociopaths are very different than the minds of your everyday average citizen. So when John from down the block blocks me in my driveway, they probably weren't meaning to do something that was like, they probably weren't trying to do something against me.
Right.
So I should keep that in mind when I react to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I'm anywhere, like in a line or something like that. It feels like they're being slow just to aggravate me, like in traffic or whatever. And that's how it appears to me because it's an egocentric world, right? But that's not the reality of it. And whenever I get in that state, it helps to remember that so I don't fly off the handle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? Wow. Now, this is something of which I fall short of often, right? Because somebody will attack me. I've been attacked so much, and it's hard to take that in stride.
And you and I react to it totally differently.
Yeah, we do.
Because I'm the uber stoic.
Uber stoic.
Stoics roar. It's official stoic lore that they roar. Roar.
You're a poet and didn't know it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, not that you're any sage or anything, but I do look up to you in that regard. I hope you know that.
Well, yay. But
take a compliment.
Thank you. Thank you very much, babe. I love you. But do you feel no shame in handling over your own mind to be confused and mystified, but anyone who happens to verbally attack you? So if somebody verbally attacks you, there's a good chance they're just being a dick.
Yeah.
And what is their dickish way going? What is going to amount to it? Other people are going to see it as being a dick, and maybe their friends are going to be like, "Oh yeah, he sure is a beta cuck."
He sounded like Mickey Mouse.
Oh, beta cuck. But
it's true though. I mean, if you are able to remain calm in that situation, and then that person goes on to verbally attack another person, they're going to be seen as the dick that they are.
Yeah.
And you're going to be seen as, well, you're probably going to be forgotten about.
Well, it's like I said the other night, chances are you're not the only person that they've been a dick to.
Oh, hell no.
And so people start noticing that.
Yes, they do. Your turn.
Of course.
Speaking of being a dick.
In every affair, consider what precedes and follows, and then undertake it. Otherwise, you'll begin with spirit, but not having thought of the consequences. When some of them appear, you will shamefully desist. I would conquer at the Olympic Games. But consider what precedes and follows, and then, if it is for your advantage, engage in the affair. You must conform to the rules, submit to a diet, refrain from dainties, exercise your body, whether you choose it or not. At a stated hour, in heat and cold, you must drink no cold water, nor sometimes even wine. In a word, you must give up yourself to your master as to a physician. Then, in the combat, you may be thrown into a ditch, dislocate your arm, turn your ankle, swallow dust, be whipped, and after all, lose the victory. When you have evaluated all this, if your inclination still holds, then go to war. Otherwise, take notice. You will behave like children who sometimes play like wrestlers, sometimes gladiators, sometimes blow a trumpet, and sometimes act a tragedy. And when they have been admired, when they have been seen and admired these shows, thus you too will be at one time a wrestler, at another a gladiator, now a philosopher, then an orator, but with your whole soul nothing at all. Like an ape. Did you want me to stop?
Well, I can probably finish the rest, but
okay.
Yeah, that's yeah. It really reflects the time. Let's just say that. But I mean, still, you have to have a certain discipline if you're going to take on something that's challenging to you.
Well, I mean, we could say, like, let's say there's a very small minority of people that want to be Olympians. And there's an even smaller minority in those Olympians that also want to be Olympians. And then we're getting off topic, but trans women are women people.
Yes, trans women are women.
Yeah. Anyway, but what this is saying is consider what all the things that are going to have to go into any decision you make. So if you decide to be an Olympian, you're going to have to give up a lot of your time to training in order to be an Olympian. If you decide that you want to be an artist, you're going to have to devote a lot of your time to art, and all the stuff that's going to come along with it.
I have failed.
You haven't failed. But no, it's saying if you're going to take an action, you need to consider the conclusion and the outcome that's going to happen from that.
Right. Consider the consequences.
Yes.
Because, nobody can know what your intent is. Nobody can know that you intend to be a gladiator or, I don't know, a YouTuber or whatever. But those consequences will be seen. Your actions will be seen. And that's, to me, in my opinion, that's what matters, is what you produce, what the consequences of your actions are.
Yeah, and don't pretend to be what you're not.
Yeah.
Like if you're someone who's going to proclaim to the world that they're ruled by rationality, then perhaps you should be ruled by rationality.
You should.
Anyway, I might be slightly miffed at something.
Yeah, little miffed.
You can go ahead and read on.
Like an ape, which you are because you're human and humans are apes, you mimic all you see, and one thing after another is sure to please you, but is out of favor as soon as it becomes familiar. For you have neither entered upon anything considerately, nor after having viewed the whole matter on all sides, or made any scrutiny into it, but rashly and with cold inclination. Thus some, when they had seen a philosopher and heard a man speak like Euphrates? Is that how?
Yeah.
Euphrates. Though indeed, who can speak like him, have a mind to be philosophers too. Consider first, man, what the matter is, and what your own nature is able to bear. If you would be a wrestler, consider your shoulders, your back, your thighs, and the lilies. No. For different persons are made for different things. Do you think that you can act as you do and be a philosopher? That you can eat and drink and be angry and discontented as you are now? You must watch, you must labor, you must get the better of certain appetites. You must quit your acquaintance, be despised by your servant, be laughed at by those you meet, come off worse than others in everything, and magistracies, and honors, and courts of judicature. You must be able to read. Anyway, when you have considered all of these things round, approach, if you please, if, by parting with them, you have a mind to purchase equanimity, freedom, and tranquility. If you don't come here. Don't, like children, be one while a philosopher, then a publican, then an orator, and then one of Caesar's officers. These things are not consistent. You must be one man, either good or bad. You must cultivate either your own ruling faculty or externals and apply yourself either to things within or without you. That is, be either a philosopher or one of the vulgar. Well, I'm one of the vulgar, but I like philosophy.
So yeah, every role that we take in society is going to mean something to us. So if you're a politician, you're going to have to be a politician. A lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's just a fact, and it's been a fact for thousands of years now that politicians at times have to be a little slimy.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a great orator, you're going to give yourself time for speech, and learning rhetoric and the like. So you're not going to have time for other studies. So if you want to be someone that knows a little bit about everything, and so you basically know nothing, then you half-ass it, like what they're talking about there.
I'm telling you, he's talking about my life.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm serious. Like, I know a little bit about everything. And like, I can chop wood, I can paint a painting, I can fix dinner, but I don't have any particular set of skills for anything, you know?
Well, but okay, so with the point in mind, that's what it's talking about, is if you really want to be something, you're going to have to put all your energy and time into being that.
Right.
So whether that's a wrestler or a philosopher or a politician, that's where your energy and time is going to be spent, and you shouldn't try to pretend you're anything else.
Well, I do spend a lot of time with philosophy. Not because I want to be a philosopher, but because I find it helpful. Just in reading this, like, I can see where I have gone wrong in a lot of different ways in my life. So, you know, I think it's important for people to know philosophy and to read it and to contemplate this stuff, because it's important for their lives as well. Not for me, but for them. You know, it's a personal journey.
Yes. Yes. So number 30, I'm just going to state off the bat that I have contention with number 30.
Ooh.
I'll let you go ahead and read it.
Oh, you'll let me?
Yes, I will. I will allow you to read this.
Are you going to allow me to live and have children too? Because I'm an atheist, and atheists apparently shouldn't be allowed to have kids. That's weird. Anyway.
That is weird.
Fucking Twitter, I swear. All right. Duties are universally measured by relations. Is anyone a father? If so, that implies that the children should take care of him, submit to him in everything, patiently listen to his reproaches, his correction. But he is a bad father. Are you naturally entitled then to a good father? No, only to a father. Is a brother unjust? Well, keep your own situation towards him. Consider not what he does, but what you are to do to keep your own faculty of choice in a state comfortable to nature, or conformable to nature. For another will not hurt you unless you please. You will then be hurt when you think you are hurt. In this manner, therefore, you will find, from the idea of a neighbor, a citizen, a general, the corresponding duties, if you accustom yourself to contemplate the several relations. Blech.
Okay, so yes, my contention on this: the ancient Stoics, had this belief that there was a lawful order to the universe.
Blech.
And so there were things that were implied simply because they were. And so your father being your father implied that you were duty bound to treat your father in a certain way. And so it was conforming to nature to treat your father well, even if your father was a shitty father or your brother was a shitty brother. And this is something that most modern Stoics would say, well, there's some wisdom to be seen here. Like, if you're at a job and you have a boss, you should treat your boss with a certain amount of respect. And in normal situations, if you have a decent dad, you should treat your dad decently. But most modern Stoics wouldn't say, if your father's an abusive asshole, you should still love him and take care of him in his old age.
Yeah, that's not fucking happening.
No. So this is something that is contentious and people kind of have moved away with from in time. I mean, there is still this certain type of order that we would acknowledge, but not as hard pressed as this.
Yeah, and see, I think this is another reflection of the times in context to when it was written. Because if you have less resources, you have less people, then you're more family unit dependent. Right? I mean, the family means whole lot more to your survival than it does in modern or postmodern or whatever the fuck these times are.
Yes.
So, yeah, it makes sense that the philosophy would progress with the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, so you could exhibit it in a sense the way Callan has mentioned in the chat, a philosophy of gratitude. So you could be grateful that your father gave you life because of the experiences that you've had in life, the good experiences you've had, and still not like be at his beck and call.
Well, to be honest with you, like, my mother was a bitch, but I took care of her.
Yeah.
And if the same were to, if like my dad were talking to me and I were talking to him, and he needed my help, I would help him too. It's just.
And see,
you would be against that.
I would be like, we can get them a home.
Yeah, I mean, that's still taking care of them.
Yeah,
making sure that their needs
make sure that their needs are met, but we don't have to go above and beyond for wretched people like that.
Definitely not wiping his ass.
Yeah.
So, do you want to continue or do you want to?
Well, I mean, we've gone for 30 minutes, so I think we can go ahead and end here.
All right.
We've done about 5, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not my channel or nothing. I shouldn't be making these executive decisions.
Well, why did you ask me then?
Because you're the man of the house, right? I mean, there has to be a natural order of things, right? I'm kidding. Anyway, so make sure that you all are subscribed to, I'm pretty sure you are, but make sure you're all subscribed to Objectively Subjective. The channel link is in the description. And I want to thank you, Maddie, for being here and helping me read this and discuss philosophy.
Yeah.
And thank you all in the chat who have offered some wonderful insights, actually. We're going to be having an after show after this. We're going to invite a few guests, and hopefully I'll see y'all in a few minutes. Bye.
Bye-bye. Poops out for peepees.